Well, hey there.
Hey, happy Marriage Monday.
Happy Marriage Monday Anniversary Edition.
That's right. This is the anniversary edition. We just celebrated our 23-year anniversary yesterday. 23 years with this guy.
Yeah.
Lucky
I'm
me.
still amazed that you still keep me around.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't just love you, I like you.
That's significant.
That actually is. Because sometimes, there's days where that's not. There's some days where I'm like, I don't really like you today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't always say it, but
Wow.
I really like you.
Oh, I'm glad.
Today's a good day.
I'm glad.
Make them all uncomfortable.
I can't think of a single day when I haven't liked you.
Oh, you're just saying that. I know that's not true.
Maybe when you chose your brother's popcorn over mine.
We're not going to go there.
We had this
Wow.
contest, and popcorn's kind of an important thing to me. And she chose her brother's popcorn, but you know what? It was fun. It was all good fun.
I mean, I'm just all about honesty and not necessarily, just
Yeah.
buttering you up for lack of
Oh,
better terms.
that's good.
They're both good. They're equally good. We're all winners.
That's very PC of you. Yeah. So 23 years in, and we've been doing these Marriage Mondays for a few weeks now.
Yep.
And I think one thing's clear: we still are just figuring out how to do this.
It's really true. Yeah, we've got a couple things down, but
Yeah.
it's all life is. It's always we're evolving as people. I think that's one of the things that marriage has taught us is that we're always growing. At least, hopefully, we should always be growing and changing.
Yeah.
That we're not the same. We're not the same people we married.
Yeah.
23 years ago. There's a lot of us that is the same, but we've grown and intentionally grown towards each other, towards the Lord, and it'd be easy to kind of to veer off and not. It's just it's those little things.
It is the little things, and that's what we want to talk about: is the little things, both the little things that strengthen a marriage and the little things that suck the life out of a marriage. We were actually just reading through Song of Solomon, which I always love, comes on the week of our wedding anniversary, because Song of Solomon, there's some really good stuff in there to strengthen
It's marriage worthy.
a marriage.
Yeah.
But this one in particular, I want to point out Song of Solomon chapter 2 verse 15 says, "Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom." And it's, of course, Song of King Solomon talking to essentially his gardeners and his gatekeepers and saying, I need you guys, in a poetic way, I need you guys to watch out for these foxes they would eat the root system out at night. So you could have all this fruit, all these blooms, but at night they would go after the root system, and you wouldn't know until it was too late that these little foxes that come in at night under the cover of darkness had destroyed your entire vineyard. And of course he's talking about that in terms of his relationship with his bride.
Right.
And I just began to journal on that in terms of our relationship and the little things that can either strengthen or suck the life out of a marriage.
Right.
And I thought about how we hear all these stories about friends that their marriages didn't make it, and it's so heartbreaking. You're like, how did that happen? They were so strong, and it usually happens just a little bit over a long period of time. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, it usually doesn't. And I think life tends to, not to be a Debbie Downer, but life and circumstances and raising a family, that kind of just on its own can suck the life out of you. I mean, life is kind of naturally sucky, not in a, I say that, but you know what I'm saying? It's like
Here's a straw.
I know, suck it up.
Suck it up.
No, but, and I get it, not to be like Debbie Downer, but I think just like, on just the base level of living life, you get up, you go to work, you pay the bills, you raise your kids. It's like life will kind of naturally, in a sense, if we're not careful, just suck the life out of you. And we have to be intentionally about breathing life back into. That's what that whole Sabbath cycle, that's why God intended and set up the Sabbath cycle for us, where you work, you labor, and then you rest. And then you work and you labor and then you rest. And it's that beautiful cycle of replenishing that if we don't set up, Sabbath type things, if we don't set up things that breathe life back into us, we just get in a work cycle, and that's going to destroy any relationship.
Yeah, and we were talking specifically about the power of words and how words, even just little words, when we're tired or we're exhausted or it's the end of a long day, just little cutting words that we can just throw at each other, or lack of thankfulness for something that we've
Yeah.
done for the other. Those are those little things that can actually build up over time and
Yeah.
kind of eat the fruit off the vine.
Yeah, we were talking about this today, just about how they're kind of big words because but it's the practice of honor, the practice of respecting, the practice of being thankful and saying thank you and noticing things, like, and not just on anniversaries, not just not just on big moments. Like just today, we were sitting in the kitchen and I just looked at John and I just said, I'm just so proud of you. I'm just so proud of what you're doing. And it was just those moments where it's like, when that thought comes up, just communicate it. Like, don't just think it, especially if it's something that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Because granted, for every word of encouragement I'm going to speak, he's going to hear 5 negatives, right? I mean, that's just
that's life.
That's the life cycle. And so being intentional to speak words of life, to call out what we see in our spouse, not just the things that they're not doing, but who they are and who they're becoming. And to speak those words of life into our relationship, to practice honor, to practice respect. It sometimes goes counterculture, but really goes counter our flesh, because our flesh and our sin nature don't operate in honor. They don't operate in respect, right? They don't operate in the fruit of the Spirit. It's selfish. It's self-consuming. And so it's going against the flesh to call things out to bring life.
Yeah, and it's so not sexy. Like, this is not like, ooh, that's what I want to hear, because it's so practical and so essential.
And it's selfless.
Yeah. And I it was the other night, we had come home and you were like, let's wash the cars. and she actually said it like that, like it's a super exciting thing.
I like a clean car.
Yes, and the last thing that I wanted to do, of course, was to wash the car.
But I love the fact that I knew that because your face said that to me. Because you were not a poker face. His face was like,
I can't hide a thing.
oh,
yeah.
Yes, let's do it. And so I knew you didn't want to do it, but you did it.
I did it, and this was not our anniversary. This was way before.
But you were warming me up for anniversary.
And even at the end, when the hose was so tangled up, and we just couldn't get it to roll up the right way.
You're just like this.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, do it right.
Yeah. And but all of those little things, because her love language is acts of service, and so I knew that even though. My love language is time spent and physical touch. That was not going to happen right now.
All that time we spent
That was
together.
going to happen while we were rolling up a hose and scrubbing bugs off of a windshield. and as silly
It's a
as that
2-for-1.
sounds, it does add up. The little things add up
it really
to
does.
either a really great marriage, or the little things add up to actually sucking the life out of your marriage, and you lose the joy. And obviously it's easy to be joyful as we think back on, 23 years and all that God has done, for us, and how he has strengthened us and provided for us
In
just
so many ways.
all the way through. It's easy to be joyful in this moment, but it's the car washing, hose wrapping. I want to thank you for the little things that you've done that actually gets you from one anniversary to the next, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. And it's and when it comes down to, and like you said, it's not sexy, it's serving each other. It's putting our own agendas and our own wills aside to serve the other. And that doesn't mean we become a doormat. We don't have a will or a voice, because we do, of course, but we do it in mutual submission, like Scripture says, and we do it in love. And that eventually turns out to be pretty sexy, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Like, the sexiest thing he can do is, like, wash the car. Or
Take out
like
the trash.
unload the dishes, or take the kids out to
Take the kids out. Yeah.
skate or something, so I can have like a moment to myself. It's pretty hot.
Remember,
not gonna lie.
Remember when we learned that for a man we've got compartments, but for a woman it's all connected. And so for a man we're thinking, okay, after work is done and the kids are in bed, then we can have time together. But for a woman, they're all connected too. When she asked you to take the trash out and you didn't, that's all connected to that night,
there all day.
that very moment. And when I realized that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it is all connected. And again, the little things add up to showing love in a big way.
Yeah.
So, Yeah.
The big is in the little.
Yeah, it is. So thank you guys so much for this. Again, we want to know in the comments below how we can be praying for your marriages during these times. If there's anything specific that you want us to talk about, or how we've struggled through or figured it out with the Lord, please let us know in the comments below.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Have a great week.
God bless.